Hey, football and beer fans! It's Sunday. It's your pregame show. We are here. It is week one of the NFL season. It has been way too long till we've really got into a full day of football. We just had a game of first game of course Thursday, which we'll talk about this morning. But man, I'm excited, Dave. This is it. Week one. Here we go. It's we teams have been reloading. We've gotten through training camp. This is it. It counts now, man.
I know. I'm stoked. Even super stoked that my team here is on our local Fox channel this morning, so I'll get the game. Won't even have to hack stream it from overseas or anything. We'll actually get to watch it legit on Fox. So thank you, Fox. If you can see, I got my nice hat.
That's
Your son
nice.
actually got me this hat. It's a hunting hat. That's flannel because 49ers are going to be starting their hunt for another NFC championship game this season today. So yeah, I'm ready, man. I'm super set.
I'm excited too. So what is before we get started? We are Football Beer. That's why we're here. What is your game day selection today?
My game day selection for week one got a special one. So it is a limited edition double dry hopped hazy IPA. And it's from Belching Beaver in Vista in Oceanside, California. They do a collaboration. So this is their 10th collaboration with the Deftones, punk band from the 80s. And then they sent this nice thing with the package. My wife is actually works with them and does a little marketing on social media for them. So they sent this with a few beers. So the other beers I will probably have maybe on the next couple shows they sent us. So it's a 7.1 percent here, IBU 10, and they had this nice little write-up about the beer there. Very good beer. I've had a couple sips. Have a nice Belching Beaver glass here, and they always want you to have damn good times. Now are you not going to have damn good times on a Sunday when it's football season? So, not yet a sponsor. Hoping to make this maybe a sponsor of the show soon, since we're hooked up with marketing and someone that markets for them. So maybe we'll be having several Belching Beaver beers on the show to come. But yeah,
awesome.
Very good.
Looks great. I love the color of it. I like the play on words on dam, Belching Beaver, dam, and a nice play on words there for marketing. Well, I'm actually going back to Albuquerque, New Mexico, and La Cumbre Brewing Company. And and this is their elevated IPA. It is a 7.2, and this brewer was my Super Bowl brew last year. We were actually in Albuquerque for the Super Bowl last year, and I think it was their Hef version, and it had you turn the can upside down to get it going and stuff before you opened it. But so La Cumbre out of Albuquerque, New Mexico. The color is pretty much like yours. It's a nice little golden, and but I haven't even tried it yet. But they're elevated IPA. Oh, that's hoppy. It's actually kind of refreshing too.
I'll wake you up.
But yeah, no, that's a good one. Sorry, I don't have I was trying to hide the back. This glass was from Fat Belly's Irish Pub in. Gosh, where I was at a conference for work. Lila was there, but our friends Steve and Kelly Devine, they always their nickname's Fat Belly, and barbecue and stuff. And so we brought back a glass from the Fat Belly's Irish Pub that we hung out with in Boston. It's outside of Boston. So I think might have been. Anyway, doesn't matter. It's a lot of years ago. And but that's the glasses come from, but it does say Guinness on the other side. Anywho, on with the football talk that we have today. And before we get started, just want to say good morning to our viewers, Jim and Cindy, Robert, buenos dias, and Kim. Welcome. Good morning to you. Welcome to the show. Week one. Hey, so a little bit of football started Thursday. We both, in our predictions, picked the Bills to win, even though the Rams were favored by 2.5. We picked the Bills, and probably didn't have any idea that they would actually drop 31 points. Just such a blowout against against the Rams, and we were talking pregame that, I shared that I just thought it was kind of some ugly play by the quarterbacks with the turnovers and stuff, and still for the Bills to drop 31 points on the Rams was quite impressive.
Yeah, I mean, the Bills' defensive line to me stood out the most. I mean, they pressured Stafford. They, didn't allow very much rushing. They got sacks. They got hits. I think they hit him at least 11 times. Allen played great. A couple interceptions weren't really his fault. I mean, it looked, one receiver had the ball right in his hands and his chest, and it flew out right into a Rams guy's arm. So he had a couple what will be unfortunate stats that will blemish his stats. But you got to remember, and it's a perfect example with stats, they don't always tell the full story. You got to watch the ball games. You just can't at the end of the season be like, oh, this guy didn't do very well. Well, it might not reflect it. Some of these stats go on certain players and it's not their fault. And we saw a couple of those, but I really wish the guy was on the show that was on last week, because he was saying how Jalen Ramsey is overrated and got burnt. And he sure did. He called that, didn't he? So I wanted to give him a shout out. I wanted to give him credit for bringing that up in our show last week, because Stefan Diggs just made him look terrible. I mean, definitely didn't look like a top 100 player in the NFL as he was picked by his peers at the start of this season on the NFL Network. When they share that, he was a top 10 player. And Stefan Diggs, I think, looked like a top 10 player because he worked him short, deep, didn't matter. I mean, he got him all over the field. So a very impressive game by Stefan Diggs for week one on the road against, returning Super Bowl champions. But I mean, the Bills showed it, man. They had a lot of pressure. There's a lot of people predicting them to win the Super Bowl. I think I might have predicted them to win the Super Bowl. I have them in it, I think. And they showed why. I mean, they showed up big time. And I thought a major flaw of the Rams was their offensive line. Not just the D-line is good for the Bills, but the O-line just didn't look good either for the Rams.
No, and with the Bills picking up Von Miller in the offseason, him making that switch, obviously it looks like it was a pretty good switch for him. And again, you're looking, this guy you just shared, he was like number 70 or something, or in the 70s, I think, or of the top 100 players somebody published. And he didn't play like it the other night. 2 sacks and some hurries and, and making a difference in the game, where I thought, the guy might just be enough of a distraction to help some of the other younger linebackers or edge rushers, that, we got to worry about Von Miller. But he stepped up in a leadership role. Just said, hey, let's get after it. And he did. And that was one of the things that I think that really impressed me about this game was the defensive play for the Bills and Jalen Ramsey, I think his true colors started to come out in the Super Bowl against the Bengals. They were able to get him on a few passes and a few routes and started to kind of expose him a little bit. It doesn't help that, he was trash talking Josh Allen and, calling him trash, when he was drafted and such. And so I think it's been years. I think that was said quite a while ago. So, but still you might want to take that personal, in any type of matchup. Somebody's going to talk trash. Let's put them on notice. And so, and I think, I don't want to take it over, but I think with Jalen Ramsey, he talks a little bit like prime time, but and he is a great he's a great defender. But when you talk, you always have to show up and perform.
Yeah, he went on a show, I guess, this week, I think yesterday maybe, and he was just basically honest. I mean, he was like, yeah, they kicked our ass. There's no way around it. We got our ass kicked, and that happens. I mean, I'm sure this isn't a telltale sign for the whole Rams season. I'm sure they'll bounce back and win several games this year. And I don't think Ram fans have anything to be worried about. But I think if you're a Bills fan, I think you got to be super pumped just because you have all that expectation and they go in and they do it. And you're watching your quarterback stiff arm defensive backs to the ground. You're watching him dive over and score a touchdown on Bobby Wagner, one of the, past decade's best middle linebackers. And, how does that make Bobby Wagner feel? You got this quarterback that just owns you on the goal line to get a score right on top of you, one-on-one. That's a thing that will mentally change you for a little bit if you're a veteran, potentially Hall of Fame-ish borderline type linebacker. But yeah, I thought Josh Allen too. And there's discussions I saw on some NFL shows on Friday after the game that was like, Josh Allen, he took quite a few hits too, because they ran him with the ball up the middle some, and he was, taking a lot of contact. But he, one of the guys, Sam Aucho on ESPN, he was like, did you really watch though? He was dishing out as much punishment as he was taking. So
yeah.
It was like, hey, are you worried about him playing this type of game? And he was like, no, he didn't take any major shots. He doled out more than he took. This is how he plays. You don't want to alter a guy how he plays if he's playing well. I mean, and I immediately thought like, oh, what happened when you try to make Michael Vick just a pocket passer? Sure, he can throw the ball. He's got a great arm, but why would you do that when he's maybe the fastest guy on the field? I mean, just because he's quarterback, you got to use these guys' skills. And if Josh Allen's a big physical guy that likes to play that way, I don't think you try to change him.
Yeah, you look around the league, and today, I mean, there was a time where, yeah, we want speedy running quarterbacks, but then you see them, get banged up mid-season. I think we've kind of settled down into a mix. I would want, if I'm coaching again, I want a running quarterback. Not that I'm running him. I want the threat of running him. And, you have to keep him honest. I mean, sure, you have to run him to keep the defense honest, but, I want someone that, if it's not happening on the route or whatever it is, the read option, I want to have that. I want the defense to have to be honest and take a man to spy, to follow him around, and because he's a threat to run. And so I think that's important. I don't think you need to run quarterbacks like a Lamar Jackson, that's kind of a primary part of his game, or a Kyler Murray. And he's a bruiser. You're right. He did lay out some punishment, and that was kind of, I always love to see that, quarterback. There's a nice meme, floating around of him stiff arming. Was it Wagner that he was, pushing down, or it was, I don't know who it was, but yeah, just coming around the corner and that stiff arm on the helmet is like, that's impressive for a quarterback. All right. Hey, so that was Thursday, but we do have some football games today, a whole slew of them. And there's some great matchups, I think, for week one. What games are you looking towards watching today?
I was trying to pick my favorite one, but man, it was really hard because there's about three that I'm really interested in. And lucky enough, I know at least one of them this afternoon will be on television on our Fox channel. So I'll start with that one. But I was very, these division games right off the bat, I think are interesting ones. So, those are some of the ones I'm really looking at the most. And the first one was Packers-Vikings. So I think either one of these teams is going to win that NFC North division. I don't have the Bears or the Lions in contention to win it, but I have either the Vikings or the Packers taking this one. So I think it's a real important game one for these teams, just because right off the bat, someone's going to have the advantage in that division. They're going to have a tiebreaker right off the bat, going into the rest of the season. We're going to see, how Rodgers is with his new receivers. We know Cousins has a whole bunch of talent around him to get the ball to.
Sure.
So I think that's going to be a fun game to watch. The other game that I'm pretty interested in is the night game, the Bucks Cowboys, because I think, those are two good NFC teams. We'll see how they do coming out. But my game I'm most excited about that hopefully we shouldn't get blacked out, but it's that Charger-Raider game. So another division game. The Raiders made the playoffs last year. The Chargers just missed it, basically off target. So these are two playoff contending teams. They're two, AFC West I think contending champions this year. You got two good quarterbacks. You got talent all over the field on offense for both teams. I'm really looking forward to that Charger Raider game today.
Yes, that's probably the top game I want to watch today. It says it's on CBS, but maybe even Paramount Plus. I'm just kind of scrolling through Google here.
Yeah,
but
it says it's on our CBS today too.
So I really want to check that one out, and that night game. I mean, the Bucks Cowboys. It's just interesting. There hasn't been a lot of talk out of Cowboys camp this entire offseason. They're usually a very vocal, very arrogant, confident. I mean, some people would say confident, but there's a lot of arrogance in the Cowboys in the offseason. I didn't hear that this year, and that could really be a good thing for the program. I mean, if you know me, I don't care for the Cowboys, but you know what? Really, if that's the case, I mean, if it's just like, hey, let's just shut up and get to work and put together, a winning program, then I respect that, and they'll earn some respect. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to that because we'll have to take a look at did the offseason absence of Tom Brady hurt in training camp, preseason, all that kind of stuff, and how are these two teams going to come out and play? So I think tonight's game for both organizations is really going to tell a lot, even though it's game one. Because I think that the Buccaneers have more firepower, offensive firepower than the Cowboys defense can put up against. But so yeah, and then just going back, Robert, that's going to have some great offense on display. That was the Raiders Chargers game. I hope so. I mean, I hope it's lights out, but I still hope it's like a 50-27 win for the Chargers. So and then Amy, thanks for joining the show. Join us today. Not a huge Cowboy fan. There's a lot of that, but I think probably a lot of it just comes from the persona that they think they're probably think they're better than they actually are. So Dave, who do you think for running backs, which one do you think is going to show for the Cowboys? I think we discussed this a little bit last week, but what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think we're on the same page, and I think it's going to be Pollard catching balls out of the backfield or getting screen passes. I just, with Elliott's more kind of an inside runner a little bit, and the Bucs have great veteran linebackers in Levante David, Devin White, and then they have Vita Vea, big defensive tackle right in the middle. They have Shaq Barrett on the outside. So I think it's going to be more Pollard catching the ball out of the backfield than it is going to be rushing attempts for the Cowboys.
Yeah, I hands down think that Pollard could easily take over the lead role in this offense, and it's kind of like maybe what the Cardinals did last year. With Chase Edmonds, kind of hurt, but still you had Chase Edmonds and James Conner. And you really saw James Conner taking the tough carries, and he ended up, he was leading the league in touchdowns for most of the season. And but Chase Edmonds was really the number one running back on that team. And so, now Chase Edmonds isn't there anymore. So I think we're both on the same page. Amy, as I shared, definitely agrees with that. And then, sorry, Kim, that you're not getting that. Must be a blackout scenario of some sort in Washington or Oregon. I don't know why, but So, maybe you can get in touch with Dave and find his overseas hack for watching any football game out there. And and I don't know, and this is not a plug for it, but the new NFL game watching package or something like that seems real interesting. I don't know if you've heard of it. It was really, you could watch all the preseason games, but then there were some other regular season games you could watch, and then you could also watch coaches film. So you get to actually see NFL Plus. Thank you, Amy. You actually get to watch what the coaches would watch for scouting, after the game. So you get to see the camera views of and so that you can analyze the play. I think I actually might subscribe to it just to kind of watch and see that view. They have all the coaches get to see all the totally different angles than we get to see on broadcast TV, so they could see the full field and what each player is doing. So as you and I, as both being previous coaches, that would be kind of exciting to be able to get access to seeing that kind of footage. But they're not showing, if you want to see every game, you need to get the NFL package or whatever it is, and season pass. And I'm not going to do that. But most of our games, Sirius subscription. So yeah, you can listen to those on Sirius XM and have that as well. But yeah, so again, thanks Amy for joining the show and being a part of the conversation. And so yeah, so we've got the so we've kind of picked a couple of games there, and I'm just kind of going down through the list of games just to kind of where do you see any big upsets this week? I know we didn't prepare for this, but we still have a few minutes. And again, if you're watching the show, put in the comments what your game of the week is, and because we'd love to talk about it. Maybe give a little bit of analysis and some worthless opinions, and on what game are you guys looking to see today and watch, or just see the results and watch the coverage or the highlights on ESPN. I am the Seahawks Broncos game. I'd like to see how really if the Seahawks can compete, and what Wilson's going to be able to do for the Broncos.
Yeah, it's a huge game in my house because my wife is a big Seahawk fan. Her whole family Seahawk fan. So I'm sure I'll be texting with my father-in-law, Monday evening, tomorrow night. Huge for him to go back. And, I'm guessing he's really going to try to put it on him, usually in these comeback games. So that is a game I'm also interested in. Just for my wife and for all my Seahawk fan friends and family members. It's a big game because it's, anytime a big time player goes back. We have a smaller version of that with the Panthers and the Browns with Baker Mayfield, hopefully getting to do that. And flipping off his former team. But I think it's going to be a little bit different feel for Wilson to go back since he did win them their only Super Bowl in franchise history. He is, a huge person in that community the whole time he was there. I liken it not as much. I don't think Russell's as much of a legend as, say, a Tom Brady going back to play New England or Peyton Manning going back to play the Colts or something like that, but it's just a slight tier under that. He is so beloved in Seattle. A lot of people know about, the Children's Hospital that he has visited countless numbers of times, whether it was with his first wife and then now it's, pop R&B superstar wife, Ciara. He's been very, very philanthropic in that city. So I know people love him for that also. I don't think he'll get a lot of boos. I think people will kind of get it, kind of like Peyton Manning's situation where it was just kind of time to move on for him. And I don't think I don't think you'll see the Seahawk fans showering him with boos or anything like that. Who is going to get boos is probably Pete Carroll when they're down by 20 points and his quarterbacks can't do anything and they're at home and it's the first game and they're seeing the future of their season before their eyes, getting pummeled. So that'll just be fun to watch. Like I said, I don't care either way, but it looks like it's going to be a fun game to watch because of that whole Russell coming back situation. And good for the NFL to schedule it week 1. Let's just get it out of the way. Let's start the season off strong, have some fun with it on Monday night, the first Monday night game, good scheduling. Let's get, some fun ramped up at the start of the season.
Don't jinx it. Whitney says, don't jinx it. She also said his wife is Ciara. Whitney's our resident, I don't want to say hipster, but, she's in the beltway of what is popular and modern and being an influencer like she is, so great at it. She is up to date on all of that stuff that I'm not because I'm old. But, Amy also says that she's looking for that to, just to see that she thinks that Pete Carroll will try to play some head games with Russell Wilson today. So we'll see that. And yeah, can the Steelers show up against the Bengals? I think that's really a tough matchup. I had to pick up the Steelers tight end because in one of my fantasy teams because Kittle is a scrub for today, and so I didn't have a backup on my team. I really went weird with my drafts this year, so I'll keep you up to. Thank you. So maybe we'll just have to make that a weekly segment of what's fresh today in the NFL. Friarmo, thank you, Amy. Yes, I picked him up. Never heard of the guy, but I'll tell you what. Reading his stats and different quarterback obviously this year, but I think he had 6 touchdowns within the red zone last year, and so they may have to look for those that middle, short crossing slant, get your tight end somewhere. Hopefully he can fight his way in there and pick up some touchdowns, get me some fantasy points, and So, and it's interesting. Whitney mentions Cooper because I was going to mention this earlier as we were talking about the Rams. I was watching that game and basically just saying as a coach, you have one job. Do not let Kupp catch the ball. One job. I'm the defensive coordinator over on this side. And the DB coach, whoever. One job. The guy doesn't catch the ball. One job. Who else is going to beat us? No one. One job, and you couldn't do it. I mean, is this guy really that good?
His route running is great. Just when you can see him and Stafford have, just a great communication on the field. I don't think they even have to talk. It's a glance, and they know, what they're going to do. And that's just reps. And they haven't even been together for very long. So Imagine what they're going to be like 4 years playing together. I mean, they're 1 year in a game. So that's really, amazing. And yeah, they didn't have anyone else. Allen Robinson's supposed to come in and take over for Robert Woods as the number 2 or Odell Beckham Jr. And he had 2 targets, 1 catch for like 8 yards. And nobody else could do anything. They want Cam Akers to be a good running back there, but he hasn't shown that yet. And Henderson actually played way, way better. And
yeah, he did.
Way more snaps, like 4 times the amount of snaps in the game. So this Akers project might be done. I think Henderson has already looked like he's locking up a lot of the time on the field after game 1. So we'll see where that run game goes. But yeah, they're definitely going to need more weapons. And I think we're seeing the difference of, he doesn't know Allen Robinson yet, apparently. I mean, Allen Robinson is a good receiver. Historically, he's a very good receiver. But to only give him 2 targets when Cooper had to be doubled a good handful of times. So I don't know.
Yeah, the whole Akers thing, I was shocked when watching their first series and I'm like, what's this Henderson? Henderson's getting a lot more play time than Akers and early in the game. And so that had to have been something that was left over from training camp and preseason that the coach just didn't like what he was McVay just didn't like what he was seeing out of Akers and maybe was making a point by giving more touches to Henderson. And Henderson actually did something with them. I mean, he ran hard. And then as soon as I saw Akers come in, it was just like for nothing. I mean, this guy wasn't going anywhere. And when he came back from injury in the playoffs last season, the guy was on fire. And, and again, a lot of times, and I'll say this, it's not always necessarily the talent of the player. Sometimes it's just defense is not having scouting information on a player. And in game, live game situations. And it's just that newness that takes you a while to adapt. And so seeing Akers in the playoffs in the Super Bowl, that was fresh and it was hard to cover that. But now they have tape, they can see, and they know how to what to do against Akers. And I go back, that's just my own opinion. Cause I go back, that's how the Rams won the Super Bowl in 2000s because nobody had ever seen an offense like that. But guess what? The next year, even though I think they went back, or the year after, they were able to return to the Super Bowl, but not win. People started adjusting. They saw it and they could, build against it. This is the team we have to beat. So again, I don't know what's going on with Akers. It'll be interesting to see as the weeks go on if he still gets kind of that lead role, or if it's going to turn over to Henderson, because I was impressed with the way Henderson ran, but neither one of them really did anything. I mean, anything of consequence for the Rams this week. So they really do need to figure that run game, because Stafford is not going to win you the game. I hate to say that, because that mud was thrown in my face last year, because I do not like Stafford for anything. And, and I have to give him respect for winning the Super Bowl, but I still, watch this last game. Okay. Yeah, that's Matthew Stafford. He tied for the league in interceptions last year, and he's starting right off there again. So they're going to need to score a lot more points to overcome the interceptions and the turnovers. So long-winded there.
Yeah, for sure. And the Rams, after last night's boxing match between Le'Veon Bell and Adrian Peterson, these two old retired backs, Le'Veon Bell knocked out Adrian Peterson. So you might want to just bring Le'Veon Bell in for a look, maybe a workout. He's apparently tough and in shape. So maybe you bring him in for a look in that backfield.
Oh my God. I saw that this morning, and I'm like, really? I mean, I know Adrian Peterson. I didn't know Le'Veon Bell was out of the league. I mean, he doesn't seem to be that old. And I didn't know he was not playing with an NFL team. And to see that, I'm like, really? They were boxed? Oh, my goodness. How
caught him with the short right hook. Short right hook. Yeah.
Anything for a buck.
I think Adrian Peterson has 13 kids on child support that he has to take care of. So that can't be easy. A retired salary.
All right, folks. Well, that brings us to the bottom of the hour. We want to let you have time to settle in, and for any other pregame show you may have, although it won't be as good as this one. But get ready for those 10 o'clock games, and hopefully you have picked out a fine brew for today and to watch the week 1 of the NFL. So I want to thank my ability to purchase La Cumbra Brewing's Elevated IPA and Dave's Belching Beaver. What is the name?
It is a limited edition dry hopped hazy IPA. That is the Deftones Phantom Brides hazy IPA.
So cool can, cool beer. So enjoy NFL today, everyone. And thank you for joining our show. It was a good turnout. Great connection with all of you. So tell your friends, 9 a.m. every Sunday. We're here for pregame. Next week, we will have our week 2 picks and recap of week 1. So we will be talking at a fast pace next week. So, good luck. Thank you, Kim. Good luck with your teams today. And let's go Bolts. Absolutely. And cheers, Robert. Here's to you, buddy. So everyone, have a fantastic day on behalf of Dave and the Football Beer, That's Why We're Here show. I'm still getting used to that one. Have a fantastic Sunday, everyone. Bye now.